You changed your clothing?
I know. I overheated, okay? When I started the day, listen, I thought about it. I was going to leave it on, and then I freaking supernovaed. So here I am in my new outfit.
Yes. Wait, are those jammy pants or what are you wearing?
They look like jammies, but they're basically jammies that are acceptable for daytime use.
Hey, that's the best kind of clothing, I gotta say. If you could wear it night and day,
yes,
you're winning.
I almost wore them to sleep last night. But no, the other thing, I put it on earlier when it was still cool, and I was just like, I am sweating. I am sweating, and I need to just release.
So I see. So you look good for Jason June, but when it's just you and I, you don't care. I see how this is.
I'm sorry, you're getting the real Cloaca version of me.
I'm getting all of you today.
Yes.
Well, welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to Of the Publishing Persuasion. I am Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle, and I am here with the Cloaca Queen, the Queen herself, Melanie Schubert. Melanie, how are you today?
You like that I just tried to mime a cloaca to you?
Yeah, I mean, a cloaca with like teeth.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cloacas with teeth, I'll have you know that I was not bullshitting you last week when I said there was a creature with teeth in its cloaca. The cloaca part was just a charming additional find. I didn't realize this creature also had a cloaca. So the cloaca journey and facts continue, my friends. So it was, in fact, a sea cucumber. Now, not only does this enchanting ocean creature grow teeth down there sometimes, I think it's not all of them, some of them. But I also think I know the reason it grows them. Now,
okay, let's hear it. Let's hear your idea. Okay, let's hear it.
I'm just guessing based on the information I have read. But another fun fact about sea cucumbers is a lovely little fish called the pearlfish likes to inhabit the butthole, the cloaca of the sea cucumber. It lives in its butthole.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's a valid reason, no? I would.
Okay, so wait. Okay, so his butthole, or theirs. I don't know. I can't assume, but a little creature wishes to live in the butthole, and so through evolution, it has grown teeth. Is what you're telling me?
I'm guessing it grew teeth because of that. I haven't
wait, okay. I forgot you said you were guessing. So you just made this fact up.
No, the fact is true. The fact that the parasitic, from a scientific article, Angela, several species of parasitic pearlfish actually live inside sea cucumber bums. After smelling their way to an ideal host, the pearlfish swims headfirst into the void.
Into the void? Into the void? It says that in the article?
It says that in the article. As the sea cucumber pumps water in and out to breathe, the fish slowly but surely wiggle their way inside. Other pearlfish take the opposite approach, reversing in tail first. So I took the two facts, the fact about the fish and the fact about the teeth, and I'm like, well, it makes sense that it would try evolve teeth if fish want to live in its butt.
Well, you know what? Sure. I mean, it makes sense. It's only a reasonable, conjecture here.
Yeah, I think it is reasonable.
Yeah.
How are you, my friend? Now that we've got our whole new, it's just like a wild ride, isn't it? But the people want the cloaca facts, so I will provide. I will provide.
You have to give the people what they want.
What was that? Just flew past you. That was huge. Dude,
I saw it. But there's nothing. It's a ghost.
Friends, a fist-sized creature, white, just flew past behind Angela Montoya's head. It is unidentified.
It was a spirit.
It was obviously a spirit. It was a cloaca ghost.
It was the ghost of Cloaca past.
Oh my Lord, we're the same person. For fuck's sake.
know.
I was literally about to say that.
Genius. Absolutely genius. But no, I don't know what it was.
That was weird. It was pretty big.
It was. There's nothing there. I saw it fly past me too. And
I just have to yell at Goose. She's drinking more water than she can stomach, and then she's going to throw up behind me. Goose, shuffle on. Up on the couch.
Shuffle on, Goose.
Shuffle on.
Shuffle on, Goose.
Little troll. How are you, my friend?
Good. I feel good. Okay, let me tell you what's going on in my life. What's going on in my life? I don't know.
Why did you say it like Ashton Kutcher or something? Let me tell you what's going on in my life.
I don't know. Like it's an interview, like you care. Let me think what I did.
Care.
Well, no, of course you care. Of course you care. I shouldn't have said that. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is kind of fun. So I'm like Sinner's Isle it's called a Golden Poppy Award finalist. And what it is like independent bookstores or just booksellers at large, I can't tell, from California vote for like their top, I don't know, 6 or so favorite books in certain categories. So Sinner's Isle was nominated in the romance category. So I have to give it up to this bookstore that I did my very first book launch. It's called A Seat at the Table. Yeah. Like they've gone above and beyond for all things Sinner's Isle. And I'm quite confident, because I spoke to her today, that the owner like put Sinner's Isle, slipped it put it in the list or nominated it or, added it or something. So shout out to A Seat at the Table. I actually went there today to sign a few books to send to a few people that had bought the book previously. So that was fun.
Shout out to the booksellers and librarians, because seriously, like they are the real, lately I'm just like really filled with love for them, because they're like often the unsung heroes of our community. We need to get some booksellers and librarians on, because they are there's that moth again. I think it's a moth.
Is it a moth?
I freaking hope it's a moth. It's having the time of its life flapping around behind you.
Good God, it probably is. And I have a light right here. If it comes at me, Melanie, and I'm gonna break this freaking computer. I kid you not. If it comes
it was right behind you just then.
If this fucker comes near me, it's over.
I also
but yeah, thanks librarians and booksellers. Because it's the truth. Like without the excitement from librarians and booksellers, there'd be no books.
Yeah, and I just find they're also always doing little unexpected things like that to boost you, like that. Yeah. You don't even know, and they're like, oh, they bought books, and teachers do that too. They buy books for the classroom, and like, yeah, it's a really wonderful part of our community that I think doesn't get airtime because they're not writing books sometimes. So we'll shout out for them because they're glorious.
I love that. For next year, for next season, I shall book some booksellers.
I would love that.
Could possibly be our final episode of
the year. I could feel you building up to it. Did you want to talk about your hopes and dreams?
No, I don't. I want to talk about how I'm feeling right now. I don't screw the hopes and dreams. Okay. But no, I'm feeling good. I just finished, kind of finished, but like the first 50 pages of a new pitch for a new book potentially that I'd like to try and sell. Yes. So I sent a version to you, whenever that was. Wait. And I just reread it and I realized how bad that version sent to you. But who cares, right? You'll get the general idea.
Of course I will. And I've seen your writing, like the early stages and everything, and it's always good. Every stage is good. I think we always overthink our own stuff, right? Like, so I know what I'm doing with my afternoon. I can't wait to read. She's sitting there waiting for me to go. And I'm excited to see where you've taken it. Because the early stuff I saw was so yummy. So yummy. It so fits into like what you're doing already. Like it feels like an Angela Montoya, but then it's also so new in and of itself.
I love. Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Melanie.
Are you
Thank you.
enjoying working on it?
Yeah, actually, this whole like thing I'm trying is way different than anything I've really done. So
Mm.
like, I mean, with Sinner's Isle, I tried to plot it out, but I ended up scrapping all of that and rewriting it and just kind of pantsing my way through. But I knew what I wanted in Sinner's Isle.
Yeah.
With The Cruel Thirst, I had written out an outline, but it was just like a page of kind of like the beginning, middle, and end, and like what I'm hoping to accomplish.
Mm.
But with and that was really fun, but still really took me a lot of drafts to
Yeah.
kind of weasel my way through it.
Mm.
With this one, my publishers have asked like to give a detailed outline, so like chapter by chapter,
Okay.
like a paragraph explaining each chapter, like that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So I basically had to sort of write the entire book,
Yeah.
but but summarized.
Was that the first thing I read, wasn't it? And where it was like bits of text and mixed with bits of plotting, yeah?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then but I found it to be really nice because I
Mm.
could get input on just sending you however many pages that was, I don't know, like 20 pages
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
get input on that and be able to tweak without having to write an entire book.
It's so
um
smart.
yeah, so it was really nice. So then I've been sending it back and forth with my agent, just that thick outline, and we've really been able to like whittle it down to something really interesting and
Mm.
cool and a little bit dark, but also very magical and mysterious. So at least that's what I'm hoping I'll get to do.
Yeah.
You could tell me when you read the first 50 pages, but yeah, and I'm switching POV, so I'm doing like first person. Like she's changing, she's growing. I don't know.
Wish the listeners could see. Oh, they can see my face. If they're watching me, they can. No, they can't because I wasn't talking. Okay, just white out that part of my life. I am very excited about this actually, to see you write in first person, because I'm a big fan of first person, and I cannot wait to see that vein of things. I think it's going to be very voicey. She's going to be very voicey.
I hope so. Like I feel like I'm still timid about it. I want to get more voicey because you're so voicey, and I want that. Like I want to be able to be like when you read Melanie's work, it's Melanie, and you can hear Melanie.
Really? That's
for
making me
sure.
cry. Like it's like so interesting hearing your work through someone else's filter, because I've always like, maybe it's just a writer thing. We're told how important voice is, so you do internalize it and you really want your voice to be good, but like it takes so much to hone it. Yeah, like to actually find it takes so much. It's so nice to hear that from someone I care about, that it like feels like my voice, because like
absolutely.
yeah.
No, yours is it. Melanie has voice, and that's what I'm trying to learn how to do with this first person POV, because third person, I feel like for me felt very like a lot safer in a lot of ways, where you have a little distance, and so you don't have to focus so much on voice, because I mean you do obviously, but it's not so close like first person.
100%. You know what I want to remind you of right now? Because actually, I think it's like one of the bits of advice that really helped me lean into that the most. And it was Nova, when we had Nova on, and she said to us, like, write the most cheesy, over the top, however it is in your heart and mind, just write it. Don't think about the perfect sentence. Don't worry about if it sounds ridiculous, because you can take it back later. I honestly think that that part of her advice, that really helped me be more voicey, because yeah, like I find that actually, even if it sounds a bit wanky in the moment, later when I read back over it, I'm like, oh, like look at her, she's so sassy, she thinks she's, because you look at your character then, right, and you're not thinking of yourself anymore, and you're like, oh, she thinks she's all that. So it's like quite pleasing to read that, whereas when you're drafting it, you're like, oh, was that over the top or whatever. Like that's really helped me writing like voicier first person.
I love it. I'm here for it. Well, how are you, Melanie? What are you up to?
I'm good. I just on the weekend submitted my entry for the Owl Crate anthology thing. So I'm very excited about that. I just like, honestly, it was so much, like I said last time, like it was just like such a release to write something like that wasn't because like even just talking about how you plotted out your books in your latest one in short form, I can relate to that doing the anthologies, because it was like you're really doing a condensed version of a story. And it's so satisfying to do it and like to be able to like control the little universe and see things clearer. So it's just been such a nice break, and I'm really proud of the story, and I really wanted to push to get it in. I didn't get it in by the original deadline, but I got it in close because they've extended the deadline, and I was like, oh, I really want to just get it in and focus on something else. So yeah, now I don't know. Like I'm tossing up what I want to work on next. If I want to go back to my YA or something else, we'll see. How are you feeling like with everything settling down post
Sinners Isle? I was feeling for maybe like the week or so once I was home and like everything was back to sort of like quote unquote normal. I was feeling like I maybe because it was kind of quiet. Like we had I don't know, I just felt like, oh no, like maybe it's not doing that well, and that's why it's quiet on like my publisher's end, which is probably like is so kind of like self-indulgent of me, where I'm thinking, oh, everything's obviously about me, like they should just be checking in on me daily. No, like
they
obviously
should.
yeah, daily. No, there's other things at play here. We've got a new book to work on, and that's what I had to do. But I was spinning a little bit, where I was thinking, oh no, like we're done with Sinner's Isle and that's it. Like we're not going to speak about it. And I thought, oh, that's probably because it's doing really bad.
Aww.
And then but then I've just been getting like DMs from people who are reading it, and messages, and like different opportunities have been kind of coming, like slowly filtering in through my publicist. And no, it hasn't been forgotten. It's just that other things are also happening simultaneously. Not everything revolves around me, which it's fine. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I guess it's true. So no, at first I was spiraling, but I feel really good today.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And you're allowed to have those bad days. I think it's like perfectly normal to feel. You're very hard on yourself. It's not self-indulgent at all. I think it's natural to feel like you've been hustling for this one book so hard. It's natural to feel like that hyperfixation almost with it, because that's what you had to do. Like you've been making reels about Sinner's Isle every day for like a year, maybe more.
For long. No, that's a good point. It's true. You are hyper focused on this one thing for so long, and then it comes, the pub day comes, and so now it's like, wait, do I stop, or do I keep going? Do I keep like trying to focus and push this book, even though I have a new one, but the new one doesn't come out for a while? So yeah, that's very interesting. I've been so hyper focused on this one thing for so long.
It's normal, all the things you're feeling.
Yeah. Now I'm ready to move on to all the things.
Yeah, I think that's a healthy way to look at it as well. But I'm so glad you're seeing the other side of it as well, because that's what I was trying to say. Like the community, it's now with them. It's up to them. Like, and I see it getting posted. I see it like appearing on the list. Like she's not going anywhere. She's just starting out. And I know it's like a hard thing to like, yeah, because let's be real, like writing journey is so much more silence and emptiness.
Yes.
Anything else. Like real talk when we had on Abigail last week and she was just saying like about it really struck me how she said like really this journey is like mostly rejection. It's such a for me healthy way to reframe it in my head because I think like when you're getting rejections or when it's like talking to Jason having 4 years of nothing happen, that's real. Like when you hear it in hindsight as a fact, it sounds less intense. When you live through 4 years of nothing, it don't feel less intense. That shit feels like every day you're like, should I still be doing this? Should I still be doing this? And like, let's realistically, this journey is more of that. And that's why like we always bring it up on the podcast. So people, so we know, so our listeners know we're not alone. Like we're all going through those like lulls and, you know, the days thinking that we're awesome and the days thinking we're nothing, you know, it's just.
Yeah, no, I love hearing it from our authors that come on every single time because it's a good reminder that you're not alone. You know, like sometimes you have you go through these years of rejections and all the things and you think, oh, it's just me. But no, it's every writer and even what Abigail was saying, like every actor. I mean, anybody that's really trying to put themselves out there is going to hear no, and it's going to feel very lonely and isolating that you're the only one, but it's not true.
No, not at all.
You're not alone at all.
100%. Anyone you look up to has heard no more than you, I think. Like anyone you aspire to be has already heard no more than you've heard it, is my kind of philosophy. Obviously, there's those rare, random overnight successes, but it's an anomaly. The general, we've been doing this long enough now that I can see the general is lots of no, lots of quiet, lots of hustle, and lots of love though. That's what like carries you through, I think, just like finding that joy again. And that's why I am so grateful for those anthologies. They have brought me back my joy of writing, my feeling of like I'm good at this. And like, yeah, it's such an important thing to hold on to as you go through the rest of it, you know?
That's good.
That's good. Now I really want to hear. I feel like you had something on your mind about like next year's resolution. Just give me one.
No,
give me one.
I think I don't know. I just mentioned it in the DMs, Melanie. I hadn't had plans yet.
Okay.
I didn't go through the list of what I wanted to do next year or my dreams or goals. I just mentioned it to you, okay?
Well, you know what? Maybe maybe the new version is better. Just living in the moment and embracing it now.
Well, damn.
You said it. You said it.
Yeah, that's good. What you said
right there. Let's read the bio before we forget.
Okay, here I will introduce the amazing Jason June, who I might have mentioned on the show a couple times that I'm obsessed with Jason June. And now Melanie is trying to steal my thunder. And
I mean, the guest
join on the Jason June
more after anyway.
Yeah, I guarantee Melanie Schubert was in Jason June's
I was.
DMs. Oh, you bitch.
We're already best friends behind your back.
I knew it. You're trying to steal him from me. That's okay. Let me read the bio for Jason June. Jason June, it's a two name first name, like Mary Kate without the hyphen or the Olsen twin, is a best-selling author of young adult contemporary rom-coms that celebrate queer love and lust and chaotically gay shenanigans. His works include Jay's Gay Agenda, Riley Weaver Needs a Date to the Gaybutante Ball, and the instant New York Times bestseller, Out of the Blue. When not writing, JJ zips about Dallas, Texas with his husband and their Pomeranian, Pom Brokaw. JJ is a tried and true Laura Dern stan, and he is actively looking for an Andalite friend. Find out more about... Did I say it wrong?
No idea, but it's funny. I don't know really what it is.
I know. I'm gonna look it up. I don't know who Andalite is or what Andalite is. Find out more about JJ and his books at heyjasonjune.com.
I don't know if this is true, but I just put it into Google. Andalites are an advanced race of centaur-like aliens. They are the primary race fighting the Yeerks and are known throughout the galaxy for their advanced something. I can't read the rest. I don't know if that's what was meant by the bio, but that's what we're
got. We're just gonna go with it. We're gonna go with it.
They're pretty cool, but they're also giving the Ice Planet Barbarians vibe.
Well, I'm not mad at that. I'm not
mad at that. Speaking of like spicy random books, when I was on Kelly's podcast and the girls were telling me about this book called Unhinged. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it's wild.
Well, let's just say the love interest is a door with a very prominent doorknob.
Stop it. Stop it right now.
I am not shitting you. I'm not shitting you. I'll also say that I began to read it out of shit. Out of sheer curiosity. And yes,
of course
everything you're wondering does happen. Wow. It does happen.
Wow.
But you know what also shocked me? That the biche who wrote it, she actually set up the story well. Like there was a B plot and everything. I was like, this motherfucker is better at story. Yeah.
Did you finish the book?
No, I'm like halfway through.
Well, it must be
I feel
good.
I don't know if I would say it's good, but I would say that I expected it to be really poorly written. But the author actually does all the things. I was shocked. I thought it would be a complete, like, just, you know, but no, like, there's very clear stakes. There's very clear B plot. There's very, like, what can I say? I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
That's a perfect way to end this episode. Melanie is impressed.
I'm impressed with the doorknob trope. I know. You're going to go Google it right away, aren't you?
100%.
Can you please read it? We need to just bitch about it together on the pod.
Okay.
I need someone else to understand the atrocity and the gloriousness that I'm reading right now.
Let's do it. I will try and catch up to you. We'll have to do like a buddy read.
It won't take you long. I blame Kelly Escobar for all of this, but also I'm grateful. Or was it Rocky? One of them was like, I think they were egging me on because of Ice Planet Barbarians because we chat about it too much. So
huzzah!
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 Hi.
Oh,
hello. So I'm so sorry my lighting is so terrible. We moved and normally I have my big studio lights, so I'm glowing, but right now I'm not.
No, you look perfect. You look amazing. Oh, are those shelves behind you?
They are shelves. This is our office that will be, so this house is going to be totally redone.
Oh my.
Starting next year.
Ooh.
Yes. I love it.
Is that full wall of like bookshelves?
It's nice to have a full big wall of them. So like in 2 or 3 years when this house is done, to finally be able to fill those out will be really great.
Yes, I love that. And it'll be full of your books because you have books.
I got books.
Yeah, you do. I'm honest, Jason, I'm so excited to have you on. I first officially met you at Y'all Fest, which was a wild experience, but I had heard you on the Try Reading podcast with Gabriel Torres.
Yes,
and
I love Gabriel.
Like, Gabriel's amazing, and so are you. So I was like, but I have to say, and I told Melanie this, when I first met you at Y'all Fest, I was totally intimidated. I was like, Jason June's not going to want to talk to me. Like, it's Jason June. But you were the kindest, like, most amazing human. Like, you know how, and we've talked about this, Melanie and I have, like, when you talk to somebody and you can tell they're looking past you and trying to find somebody else bigger maybe to talk to.
Yeah.
But you weren't that at all. You were so kind. And so it was such a pleasure and honor to meet you.
That means a lot. I loved every last second of our conversations. It was just like phenomenal to get to meet. I'm so excited that we're friends now. It's official.
Yeah, best friends. Best
Yeah.
friends.
And
Well,
you're
let's get
too, Melanie.
yeah,
So-
Melanie's now in.
I'm in. I'm already like your number one fan after Angela's stories. So you
Oh,
you don't
shucks.
even know. You don't even know I'm coming in hot.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I love it. Well, okay, now that we're all best friends, we're gonna let our listeners join in the fun. Can you tell us like a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jason June. It's a two-name first name like Mary Kate without the hyphen or the Olsen twin. Feel free to call me JJ. And I write like zany, flamboyant, campy young adult books that celebrate queer love and lust and magic, both in real life and in fantasy worlds. And yeah, I live in Dallas, Texas. I have a Pomeranian and a husband, and I just love life. I'm a very Virgo, but I'm a Cancer rising, which says a lot about how I interact with people.
Okay.
And that's probably what you're picking up on.
I always love to know when people say this, what is the attribute that like you would say is like super you from that star sign?
So from my Virgo-ness of it all is I'm so type A. I have to have things in my way all the time. So like if I have to have the same lunch every day, I have to have the same amount of coffee every day. I do my writing in a very specific like time frame and place that I want to be. And if it's interrupted, I'm like, wah! The Kraken comes out. I do not go with the flow if the plan changes all of a sudden. I'm like, oh no, this is it's setting me in inner turmoil.
That is so freaking funny. I
Yeah,
love
it's
this.
like-
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Can
Did we
you see
freeze?
me, Melanie?
Yeah, I
I'm
see
very
you.
Virgo.
Virgo.
JJ,
Okay, you're
uh-oh.
freezing a little
Can you
bit,
hear
JJ.
Oh no.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Yes, recording. Did it say record? Yes. Okay.
Better?
Yeah. So
Okay,
far,
good.
so good. Fingers crossed. Well, okay, so we've learned you are type A.
Yes.
Okay, let's get some more random facts about the Jason June. What is the strangest thing you own in your home?
This is like such a hard one. I don't own a ton of like strange things. I don't think. Like I have this really phenomenal collector's Merman Barbie that I got last year, which was like perfectly timed with Out of the Blues release about a mer person.
Yes.
But nothing that I would consider strange.
Well, hey, we'll stick with that. We'll give you that one. I think
Okay.
that's good.
We need to change the question to what's the coolest thing you have, because it sounds like it's pretty freaking cool.
I think that's good. Yeah, I like that, Mel. I like that. Okay, what is something you think about way too often?
I think about like the point of it all way too much. Like not in a like morbid way, but I regularly wonder like what the whole effing point is of all of this. And what are we even doing? And like the subjective nature of good and evil that we're always like being faced with all the time. And that like you'll see, especially on social media, God, it can be really great, but then we'll also see people just like lambasting other human beings. And it's like, wait a minute, but that's a human. And you're focusing on one little kernel of them that you dislike, and you're actually not trying to make anything better. You're just trying to position yourself as this amazing being that's fighting for what's right. But like, if anyone, so much of my life, I'm like, but there's so many ways that that such and such could be interpreted as right, you know? And there's obviously very clear things where it's like, oh, this is wrong. Like, I'm not trying to like diminish that. But in terms of like our day-to-day lives, the people that we say are terrible people, especially when I live in a state like Texas, which is a politically red state, but every single state, regardless of what color it is in their elections, is gerrymandered for whatever the dominant party is. And then that just sweeps everybody else under the rug. So like in Texas, a lot of us who are more socially liberal get the rug, and you'll hear terrible things like, oh, Texas is getting what it deserves, when like abortion limits were instated after Roe v. Wade was knocked aside by the Supreme Court. And it's like, that's so heartless and cold. And I think about that all the time. That was a big rambling answer to.
No, I cannot tell you how much I lived for your answer. I think about those things every day too. Although I definitely think about the morbid side as well. Why we're all here.
Right. Why are we all here? It's just really daunting to think about.
Yeah. And scary, and it's impossible. And my kids ask me, and I'm like, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I think who the heck knows? But if you do find out and figure it out, please let me know.
But I also
You'll be the first
agree
person I call, Angela.
Yeah.
Good.
But I also agree with like this short and brief time that we're here. Like, I don't understand the people who choose to fill it with hate, like, and attacking people instead of kindness, and like because like we all face the same fate. Like, I don't see the point in injecting like fear and hate into people instead of like, I don't know, holding each other's hands and I don't know, hugging.
Completely. That's like my dream world, where I'm like, we truly are just like souls here on this little planet in this big, huge, giant universe. And you're going to choose to forget the fact that the person across from you, or the person that you're looking at on your telephone screen, also is just a little soul that has as many confusions and doubts and everything. And I don't know. I just, the more time goes on, especially as like social media gets bigger and everything, and like we've seen the implosion, which it hasn't even really imploded yet, but just the whatever the hell's going on at Twitter, where it's like, haven't we seen already like how we're actually not using this for human connection anymore? And we've got to be able to do something better.
That's good. That's good.
So I don't know.
Well, shit, that was pretty good. That's pretty deep.
It's deep. It's fitting.
Yeah. Well, okay, here's another really deep, hard-hitting question. What's your favorite ice cream?
I love this. So I'm a big sucker for like anything sea salt caramel. If you're familiar with the gelato brand Talenti, their sea salt caramel ice cream is so good.
Oh man. Okay, I'm adding that to my mental list.
It's really good.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned you have a Pomeranian,
Yep.
which is funny because you mentioned the dog before the husband, which I love. I really love. But if you could be any dog, what kind of dog breed would you be?
I would fully be a small dog breed. I just love the accessibility of them. I love the idea, like little Brody, my little Pomeranian, I take him everywhere with me, which is really fun. And I like that I can just always pick him up and hold him, and he's like my little baby. Whereas if you're a big dog, you just can't do that. There's like actual physical limitations there. And a big dog can destroy a lot more than a small dog can do. So I would want that sweet pampered life of a small dog.
I love that you've thought it out, like really practically. After telling me your type A personality, now I'm seeing it. You weren't like, well, I'd be like a golden retriever because they're so chill. You were like, practicality wise, how is it working for me to be this dog? Well, I want to be able to be picked up and loved on, so I can't be a big dog. I love
exactly. Like I have the plan set.
I'm here for this. I'm here for this conversation. Did you know you always wanted to be a writer? I mean, staying with that type A, did you always have this in mind?
I did. So I went to Montessori school, and a big like key of that is once you get your mandatory requirements done for like all the school subjects, you get to fill your free time however you want, but it has to be one of those subjects. It's not just like, okay, now go like play Switch in the corner. It's like, you can do whatever of these subjects gives you the most passion, do that. And the whole concept is then every group of kids will have at least one student who every single subject. So like I'm not good with science. So I could go to my friends who were good with science and they could explain it to me in kid-friendly language so that I would finally get something out of that subject. And then I would do the same thing with English. And I was always spending my free time writing stories, or like what I first did was I would write down word for word my favorite movies and then make my friends act it out with me. And one of the big ones for me was Labyrinth, the film with David Bowie and oh my God, I'm totally Jennifer Connelly. I'm obsessed with that movie, and I was obsessed with it ever since I saw it for the first time when I was 7. And I would make us go over this, and it was in writing down word for word what they would say. I was like, wait a minute, this is where the story is. It's not in, I mean, it's great to see the visuals and to see David Bowie and all that, but this story starts here. This is because we're saying the same things that David and Jennifer were just saying on my VHS last night. So that was the like kernel in first grade, figuring that out and wanting to write stories ever since then. But when I graduated high school, my Virgo-ness really took over, and I was like, everybody wants to write a book. And so there's like literally thousands of people trying to get published at any given moment in time. It's never going to happen for me. So I decided to go into journalism instead, because I was like, well, no matter where I live, there's going to be TV stations or newspapers that need journalists. And this goes back to like what we were talking about before. The news media truly does just want to focus in on the negatives of life. And I was not about that. So I eventually was like, okay, just try to write a book.
That's so cool. And David Bowie in that film is a great starting point. I mean, his tights have come up on the podcast before.
This is amazing because it's definitely a queer awakening for so many of us in that moment watching that movie, that it's like, what is going on there? And why is that so titillating?
I just love that word. I just love titillating.
Titillating.
It's a great word. I try to use it as much as I can.
He is certainly titillating in that film. True icon.
And like even now, yes. And even now, as I'm coming into my own like gender identity and embracing my feminist and everything, that like David was doing that for so long. And when it was not necessarily, when it was even less safe to do so, but just totally owned it. And even though, as far as I understand, he identified as a straight man, or at least a male, that he still was able to do that play with gender in such a fun way that like even now inspires me as I'm finding my right balance. I'm never going to be as cool as David Bowie / Ziggy Stardust, but it's just to have figures like that makes me feel way more comfortable in playing with it all.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I mean, obviously he identified in that way, but it is so nice to have people that you really feel seen with and can relate to. And that's why like I love seeing like queer characters on the covers, people of color on the covers, all of it. Like the more it's out there and the more people feel seen, it's so powerful and beautiful.
Yes.
Which is why I love your covers so damn much. What was the journey from like, okay, I've decided I want to write to like publishing your book? Like, how was your querying and submission journey?
Yeah. So in the in-between time from journalism to when I was like, okay, I'm going to write a book, I thought I still was trying to be more pragmatic. I was like, I'll get involved in the business side of the literary world. And so I worked at a literary agency for a while, interning and then assistanting for a fabulous, amazing woman named Jen Rofay, who is an agent at the Andrea Brown Literary Agency. And she became my mentor in the whole children's publishing world. It was in working with her that I not only learned the business side, but got to see all of these authors that were then having their dreams come true. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I have to do that. Like I have to be one of the authors instead of on the business side. Even though I was fascinated by the business side, there was still that creative in me that was like, that I will not be able to go on until this itch is scratched career-wise. And so I talked with her about that, and she gave me all kinds of tips and tricks in like who to submit to. At that point, we agreed like we were both so close and I looked up to her so much that it would not make sense for me to be a client of hers, just because then it would add a whole new obstacle in our relationship that would be weird. But I would like run by her the ideas of people who I was submitting to. When I eventually wanted to start submitting and everything, and it all worked out great. I had my first agent, and things just like really took off once I signed with them. And I started with picture books, and Hubert Hoover Owl Detective sold within 3 months of us subbing it. 9 months later, when it was time to submit my option work, Porcupine Cupid, they bought that one. Simon & Schuster bought that one. But then it was 4.5 years of nothing, not a single sale, not anything. I wrote 3 middle grade fantasy manuscripts in that time. And I wrote dozens of picture book manuscripts, and they were all like turned down left and right. Like literal that hundreds of rejections, where it was like, oh, this is not going to be as easy as I thought. And in that, near the end of that 4.5 years, I needed to do a palate cleanse. And so I just started reading a lot of young adult contemporary. And I was like, wait a minute, there is a magic in real life that I have just been like not seeing. It's so clear when I'm reading these books. I was reading like Cynthia Leidig Smith's Hearts Unbroken, or Mary H.K. Choi's Emergency Contact, Evie Zaboy's Pride, I really love. And it was in reading these books that it was like, wait, I need to look past like just fantasy and that sort of what we consider literal magic of witches and wizards and all this stuff, and look at the magic of real life. And so that's where the seed of like Jay's Gay Agenda, my first young adult novel, was born, was writing about a tiny little bit of my truth of being the only out gay kid at a rural high school in Eastern Washington. And then going from there, making it bigger and zanier and campier with Jay's story. And then during that time, I also switched agents, just realizing like my past agent is a wonderful person, but we just work in different ways. And got my agent that I have now, Brent Taylor at Triada US, who's just so freaking phenomenal and like fully gets me in what I'm trying to write. And we just both are like full steam ahead at all points in time. And he subbed Jay's Gay Agenda, and that was bought by Megan Elnitsky at HarperCollins. And from there, it just has been like amazing. Things have just kept rolling along, and I feel so lucky. It's been really great.
Yeah. I need to stop and have a Brent Taylor appreciation moment, because you may not know this, but we literally at one point, because we had Brent on the show, and we literally at one point were like, that was the kind of highest echelon of the podcast. And we measured all our other episodes by his episode at one point, because we just loved him. We adored him. So yeah.
He is so amazing. I'm going to go back and listen to that. I didn't realize like we have that connection. We're 1 degree of separation.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. No, and honestly, he is fabulous and so just wonderful. So it only makes sense that you two would link up and like have so many amazing books just be published.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I am literally like, I am so Rob-obsessed with him that it's like not even funny. I tell him all the time, there's no way that this relationship is going to end unless you break up with me. So you're stuck with me now.
You're stuck. You are stuck. I think he'll be okay with that for sure. I love hearing your journey though, because, and it's always interesting hearing writers' journeys, because you see the books and you see the success and you don't realize all that came before. You know, like the 4 years where you were just writing, but nothing was being published. So thank you for sharing that, for one, because I think it gives us all just like a little bit of comfort, you know, that you see the book, but there was struggle, but you persevered, and now you've got many books, which is the coolest. But we're talking about one book in particular, which is The Spells We Cast, and that came out in October.
Yes.
The cover is the shit. The cover is everything. And I think I just saw like someone redid the cover. I don't know if it was for a book box or for was it for a book box?
Yes.
God,
I had
the
two.
cover.
Somehow this worked out unbelievably amazingly, where 2 different book boxes reached out and were like, we want to do The Spells We Cast. So I got one with the Rainbow Crate book box, and they created a custom edition. And then also Dazzling Bookish Shop did a custom edition complete with like sprayed edges and everything. And and then I have the amazing original cover designed by Thea Harvey. And it's like, I lucked out that I have this trifecta of like gorgeous, magical guys just like falling in love on the cover. It's so great.
It is. It's beautiful. I love it. I want all of them. Can you tell our listeners like what this book is about?
Yes. So the Spells We Cast follows Nigel Barrett, who is a gay elf-descended cowboy in Austin, Texas. And he is competing to get into the Guild, which is an organization full of magicians that have one of 5 magical powers that are either from fae, elves, goblins, nymphs, or sprites. And if you have one of these powers when you're 18, you have to compete in the culling, which is the competition of 3 tasks that gets you into the Guild, where if you fail, you are stripped of your power. But if you make it, you then have to carry on the responsibility of having magic, which means you've got to fight the monsters that are created from human hate, which also ties into what we were talking about at the very beginning of this. Because we think that humans don't have magical powers, but they actually do, that when their hate is so strong, it coalesces into this evil spirit outside of them that then is just either ready to possess animals and make them monstrous versions of animals and cause more chaos and destruction and fear. Or when hate is super strong, that becomes its whole own other humanoid evil being with the same process of just like trying to create as much chaos to feed off of as possible. And so the Guild has to destroy that. So Nigel's ready to get in and uphold his family name, since his family is legendarily strong, except for his father, who failed the culling and is now like this blemish on the Barrett name. And so Nigel feels all this weight on his shoulders. But along the way, he meets Ori, who is the curmudgeonly sprite on the cover, and he may or may not fall for him. And that presents a problem because whenever they're together, their magic goes haywire. And that really sucks for both of them when they're trying to win a competition. They need to know that their magic is like going to go right. So they have to clean up the messes that they make along the way, try not to create more, and shit really goes down.
You had me at shit really goes down. You had me way before that. It sounds freaking amazing. Like there's so much merged into it. And where do you think your inspiration came from for this book?
Yeah. So this one is fun because it's technically IP through the Melissa De La Cruz imprint at Disney. Mel is phenomenal. She is such an icon and like wants to boost up everybody to like be at her status, which is so great. And they sent me just like a paragraph pitch of a story about 2 boys who have magic, who fall in love during the competition, and they can't keep their power and choose love at the same time. So that was it. It was like 3 little bullet points. And then from there, I came up with the whole story, who the characters are, what the magic is, what the competition is, why they're competing, all that. Mm-hmm. So even though technically it's IP, it's basically, I describe it as the world's most intense writing prompt, where I'm given just literally 3 things to keep in mind and then like go. But then the trick is it's actually going to be published at the end. So like make it good.
That's really interesting to hear about. Do you find that easier or a harder way to work on a project?
Much, much, much harder. Way harder. It was like unbelievably hard. Because what I typically do with a story is I come up with the emotional core of what I'm trying to explore first, and then have all the characters and action come after that. It was the total opposite way, where it was and this is no critique on the way that the process went down at all. It was just that the bullet points I was given were very action focused. And so then the whole audition process of that, including a full-on outline of what was going to happen start to finish, was more action focused than I typically do. So finding the emotional core of it all was way harder in these books, because there's 2. The second one's going to come out next October, than I've ever had before. But it was totally worthwhile in the end to do it this way.
That's so fun and so interesting to hear about like IP work too.
Yeah.
No, is the second book part of this? Is it a duology or is it something a standalone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because the first book ends on a pretty big cliffhanger, which I'd never done before. And that was fun to do, to be like, And then then there's even more shit to go down.
Did you get a lot of people in your DMs screaming at you from the cliffhanger?
I had a lot of people. It was funny because it's funny how people interpret like deal announcements, as we all know what those are like when our books are about to come out, or we finally get to announce the deal. So with Jay's Gay Agenda, it was announced that there was a 2-book deal, and everyone assumed that meant there was going to be Jay's Gay Agenda 1 and Jay's Gay Agenda 2, which was not the case at all. There were 2 standalones. But with the Spells We Cast, it was announced that this will be a duology. Like the word was duology was even said. And everyone is like, wait, is there a sequel? I'm like, why are our, we're like passing ships in the night. We're not getting it, but it's a duology. So there's going to be book 2 coming out called, I don't know if I can technically announce the
okay. Okay, well, speaking of titles, because you did announce a title for a different book.
Yes.
Which, okay. JJ's out here just publishing books and shit. Tell our listeners what the title is and what this book is about, please.
Yes. So November of next year, 2024, I get to finally have a holiday rom-com come out, which I'm obsessed with Christmas. It's like what beats in my whole heart and soul. I love it so much. So next year, Flopping in a Winter Wonderland comes out. And it is a dual point of view contemporary rom-com following Chris and Aaron, who both hate Christmas for various reasons. It is set on a year-round Christmas theme park island that is a couple hours north of Alaska, a fictional island, unfortunately, but it's meant to be an island in our world where it's for all of us holiday heads who just want to live like their Hallmark movie fantasies. They go to this island and it's constantly set up for you to do that. So Chris lives on the island and he's a wanderer. And he hates Christmas and love and all that because it is so fabricated in his mind. He's a part of making the magic happen for other people, but because he's a part of that, he sees how easy it is to manipulate people's feelings. So love and the quote unquote magic of Christmas cannot be real. It's all produced. And Aaron is a mainlander who is very type A, like yours truly, and does not like how codependent his brother is on his girlfriend of 8 years. And so as the story begins, his brother is dumped and has just like gone into this total tailspin of misery. And then they win a trip to go to Winter Wonderland, the island. And Aaron thinks that that will be the perfect opportunity to get his Christmas-obsessed, heartbroken brother back into himself, to be surrounded by Christmas and like forget about all of his heartbreak. But what he does not anticipate is his brother's ex-girlfriend arriving on the island at the same time that they are on the island. And so Aaron enlists the help of Chris to sabotage all of Aaron's brother's plans to win his ex-girlfriend back by like bonding over their love of Christmas, and instead has to become very Grinchly or Scroogely and sabotage everything Casey, Aaron's brother, has planned.
Yes.
Yes.
Can we apply for the ARC now? Like when is this happening? Because this sounds so freaking cute and fun.
Thank you. It just got sent off to copy edits. I just heard back today from my editor. She was like, yes, this is it. We're sending it off. So
congratulations. You are working.
Yeah.
You know, it's really nice because right now I have nothing under contract. The sequels probably for the Spells We Cast is probably also going to copy edits soon, this week-ish. And then I get to just like dream up what's coming next. And it feels really nice to not have the pressure of a deadline right now. And I think the next thing is going to be adult. I want to really write something spicy.
Yes. Well, I'm here for that. But you do have a lot on the stove. So I'm so glad that you also have time for self-care and rest. But when you've got like a bunch of stuff that you're working on and you wind up feeling stuck creatively, how do you manage that?
My go-to thing is just to like put aside whatever I'm working on and read. I love getting lost in someone else's book, and it just unlocks something in my mind to truly start to escape somewhere else. And then whatever it is that is blocked eventually comes unblocked. And it's not to be like I'm getting direct inspiration from whatever it is I'm reading, because that's not the case. But it's just that my brain relaxes. It remembers the beats of story and how that should go. and things eventually come to me. I'm also a really annoying plotter, like pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of almost down to the scene of plotting, so that when I write, typically I can get a first draft done in about 6 weeks, which feels good. But I spend about the same amount of time beforehand, really heavily outlining. And that's not to say that things won't change in the drafting process, but it just helps guide things along way easier.
Yeah, no, I've been feeling that a little bit because I had to write a chapter by chapter, like mini outline for the book I'm trying to pitch. And
Yes.
but writing it has been a lot easier because I do know at least where I'm trying to go. Where before I was just a hot mess, just pantsing my way through, and it took me 1,000 drafts to even get it kind of right. So
Yes.
I'm a reformed pantser, not completely there yet. But I also agree, like, with what you were saying about like just stopping and consuming, like reading or watching a movie or something. There's something so powerful, and I think it's like a lot for me is it's not necessarily like the concept, but the feeling that book is giving you, and like try and be like, oh, I want to do that too. And I want to invoke that as well. And so, consume, right? Just consume.
Yes, completely. Just like remember what it is. It helps you remember what it is of why you got into writing in the first place. Like getting that feeling that you're feeling, but making that for somebody else, which is so nice.
Oh my God. I watched the new Hunger Games this last week.
Yes.
And I was like, this bitch, like she killed it. And, it's just like so many amazing like plot points, and, like it all just comes in together. I was like, oh, genius, goals. Thank you. Like, it's just so freaking good. And then also just like the nostalgia of Hunger Games, just all of it.
Suzanne Collins is just a legend, an icon, a queen. Like she has created such a amazing and horrific world that like everybody can escape into. And it's just like, wow, if only someday.
Yes. Amen to all of us. Manifesting. What has been, would you say, the hardest part of your journey so far?
The hardest part has been, I'm trying to think what the hardest part would be. It's really, I would say the hardest part is sticking up for yourself, which sounds like sort of a general cop out, but like I think especially with children's publishing, there's this idea that everything is like, oh, it's all kumbaya and we're all here to make the world a sweet and better place and all the things, and like, can't we all just come together and really connect through emotion? And like, yes, that's great, we should be able to do that, but a lot of the time people will use that to abuse authors and to manipulate them into why they should not be maybe asking for more, or shouldn't be advocating for themselves in terms of making sure that the team around them is working in the same style that they are. And that's not to say that like agents and editors and everybody on the business side shouldn't also be able to have their way of doing things. It's just like being a human. We all have different personalities, different ways we work, yada, yada, yada. But people should not use emotions to then make the creators feel bad for asking for more in all senses of the word, whether it's a bigger advance or better rights or needing to work a certain way. Everyone should feel free to say, listen, we're not working the same speed or the same way, and it's not working anymore. It's not an attack on you as a person, but I need to change routes. And I think a lot of the time it's hard for authors to realize that, because we're just like, oh, I'm just lucky to be here. Everyone wants to get a book published. I'm finally able to get a book published. I wish I had known beforehand how okay it is to stand up for yourself. And when you finally do, and then when you have all the people around you that are working in the same style and speed that you are, like the world opens up for you. The world freaking opens up for you. And it just means you have to be a little thicker skinned and be able to tell people like, no, you're not working for me in the way that I need you to. And to also be able to accept if somebody says to you, you're not working for me in the way that I need you to. And finding the people that do feel that way about you, you know?
I appreciate you sharing that. That's so real as well, because it does go both ways. Even like as writers, we tend to be like, have that sensitive, empathetic side. And so you can overextend yourself in both ways, saying yes to things that you shouldn't, or yeah, like being abused by the system.
Yeah. Yes, completely. That it's like we have to understand the fact that it's just like, you know, the astrological chart. There are a bajillion different personalities and different combinations a person can be. And we just need to be able to like suck it up and say when things are not going the way that we want them to be going. And also to be able to take when somebody says, you're not working in the way that we need you to work. Because even though as unromantic as it sounds, this is a business. And other people are also relying on us as the creators to do our end of the bargain. And if we don't do that, we can't demand from them what we're not willing to give also. So, you know, all that.
Damn. Yes, damn. Yes, thank you. That's good. Yes, yes. What has been the best part of your journey so far?
Oh my God, the best part has been like hearing from readers, whether it's through DMs or whether it's through in-person festivals like we were at. I love hearing from readers when they connect with something in my book. I just got a message today from a reader who really connected with Sean in Out of the Blue and appreciated the plus size representation we have there of having a fat love interest, where it's like the story is not issues around their weight. It's just like, here's my body. Now let's move on to me falling in love. And that meant a whole lot to me, or it means a whole lot to me when people are like, I was the only out gay kid in my school, and Jay's journey really meant something to me. And especially with Riley Weaver Needs a Date to the Gaybutante Ball, that has my femme gay lead who loves makeup and loves heels, and hearing from boys that are like, I never was allowed to explore that, and to read a character where they just embrace it is like so heartwarming and affirming. And it just is like the absolute best part, where every book has its own little thing that somebody connects with. And that's really, really fun.
Yes, I love that so much. Now, when you're not writing, what do you do for fun or to unwind or self-care? Tell us the ways of Jason June.
Yeah. I love to read. I'm always reading to like, it's so funny because I think there's this pressure on the question of like, what do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? And I'm like, listen, my hobbies are reading. My hobbies are TV. My hobbies are story. This is what I like to do. I do other things in my life. Like I love to go out and have dinner with friends and my husband. I love those little like small social moments where you're really connecting with the human. Like we had Angela at Y'all Fest, where you just get to hone in and like figure out who that person is. I love that. But if we're talking about like day to day, what I'm doing for fun, I'm reading a book. I'm watching my favorite TV shows. Like that's the thing.
I love that answer. And I can see that once again, you have touched Angela's soul, because she hates this question too. And it's so real though. Like a lot of time, like trying to think of a hobby is like more stressful than just like doing something that actually switches your mind off. Like just walking the dog is one of my simple ones. It really resets me and it just gives me back life.
Right. Totally. And when you think about like, it's so funny too, especially when people ask you in like a job interview setting what your hobbies are. I'm like, that is such bullshit. I'm obviously not a professional equestrian, or else I wouldn't be applying for this job. I would be going and racing horses or whatever, or some like pro surfer. I would be surfing right now. I wouldn't be at this thing. What do you think my freaking hobbies are? Like it's always related to what we're trying to do for a living usually. And if you don't have a job that is of your like creative or hobby passions, your passions are typically movies or TV or drinking. Like
sounds right.
It's the same 3 answers for everybody.
Yep. Again, you're speaking to my soul, because it's something I have let go of. But for the longest time, I was so stressed about having a hobby, because I thought, like, okay, writing was the hobby, but now I need to find a new one. But I just couldn't, because I don't like doing things. Damn it. I like reading. I like watching movies. I like stories. So, thank you.
Absolutely. 100%. And most people's hobbies are sitting at home watching TV. Let's just be honest. Yes.
It's great. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. It's wonderful. You're comfortable. You're in your pajamas.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I feel like I could breathe a sigh.
She needed that one.
Yeah,
She
always.
needed
I
that.
always need that reminder. It's okay.
I'm here for you.
Thank you. Well, I see we have less than 2 minutes to go.
Yeah. I'm such
do
a
you-
long-winded gas bag.
No,
I'm so
I love it. I love it.
You are
But
in the
re-
right place. We
Yes. We're just here to listen, to be honest, because everything you have to say was perfect and wonderful. Real fast. I mean, you mentioned, being able to say no, but looking back, like at a younger version of JJ, would you give yourself, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
I would tell myself to really lean into who I am way sooner. That every time I embraced like who I actually am, things happened well for me. Like when I embraced the camp of my voice in my writing, that's when my novels finally started to sell. When I wasn't trying to be like the lyrical bestsellers out there. I of course would love to be a bestseller, but I'm not a big lyrical writer. I'm not a writer that talks about death really. I don't do that well. But when I lean into the flamboyance of life and the camp of life, it all worked out. And then on like a personal level of just embracing myself, when I embraced my feminist, I became just way more the person that I am today. And I wish I'd done that sooner.
I love it. We're going to get cut off, but I
Yeah.
think that's a perfect place to be cut off at because it was beautiful and profound. Jason, we love you. We're obviously all best friends. Thank you for
Yes.
joining us. Seriously.
Thank you for having me. Y'all are fabulous.
You're fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to cut us off any second.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Bye.